Have you ever wondered why, despite all the technology and information around us, we often feel so disconnected from ourselves and others? What if the key to a healthier, more fulfilling life is something much simpler and deeper? Being fully present in the here and now. Let me ask you, does true well-being only come from taking care of our physical and mental health, or is there something more we're missing? And why is it that helping others can benefit us just as much as it benefits them? The answer lies in how everything is interconnected, mind, body, and spirit, and how practicing presence and acceptance not only heals us, but also deepens our connection with the world. Ready to explore this together? Hey folks, in this video we're diving into something super important for our well-being. Why a distracted mind often makes us feel unhappy, and how we can deal with that pesky habit of overthinking, or as we call it, rumination. You know, those thoughts that keep going in circles over and over? Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. So why is rumination such a problem anyway? Well, here's the deal. Our brain has two main modes of operation. The first one is the here and now circuit, which is powered by serotonin. This is what helps us feel calm, grounded, and content. The second one is the novelty-seeking circuit, driven by dopamine. This is the one that makes us excited to chase after new experiences and rewards. But when we get stuck in rumination, these circuits get less active. Why? Because living in your head all the time, trapped in endless thoughts, is way less engaging than actually experiencing life as it happens. When we're truly present, we notice the beauty around us, the sights, sounds, and smells that enrich our lives, making us feel more alive and happy. And here's the Buddhist twist. Living in the present moment, fully aware, is what helps us escape the suffering created by the mind. When we let go of attachment to our thoughts, we break free from the default mode network of our brain, the one responsible for rumination and those annoying pessimistic thoughts. Now, why do we fall into this trap of overthinking so easily? Turns out, it's rooted in our evolution. Back in the day when life was about survival, thinking about worst-case scenarios actually helped our ancestors stay alive. But nowadays, we're not dealing with daily life and death threats like they did. So constantly activating our brain's stress system, releasing all that cortisol, just messes with our body. Chronic stress weakens the immune system, burns us out, and leaves us feeling exhausted mentally and physically. A bit of stress here and there is actually good for us, like taking a cold plunge or soaking up some sun boosts our immunity. But when that stress is never ending, it throws everything out of balance. Let me give you a little metaphor. Imagine your brain as this big, complicated network of roads. Every time you focus on a specific thought, especially a negative one, you're driving down the same path over and over. Eventually, that path becomes a highway, super easy to go down. This is why people struggling with addictions tend to fall back into old habits. They've been driving down that same mental road for years. The same thing happens with negative thoughts. The more we pay attention to them, the easier it is for them to take over. But here's the key, and this is big in Buddhist practice. You don't want to fight these thoughts. Fighting them just makes them stronger. Instead, what you want to do is observe them, kind of like watching clouds drift by. Don't get caught up in them, just notice them and let them pass. When we do this, we stop reinforcing those negative pathways in our brains. And guess what? The opposite is true too. When we focus on positive thoughts, like gratitude or simply acknowledging the good things in our lives, we create new pathways in our brain. Every time you tell yourself, "I'm blessed" or "I feel peaceful," you're actually rewiring your brain to feel happier and more content. It's like planting seeds of happiness in your mind, and with a little practice, they start to grow into something beautiful. Before we dive deeper into today's topic, I wanted to mention something that ties perfectly into what we're about to discuss. I've listed 4 incredible books in the video description that can really support your personal growth journey. These books dive into mindfulness, acceptance, and the power of serving others, exactly what we'll be exploring today. So, if you're looking to take these ideas further and truly apply them in your life, be sure to check those out after the video. So, as the Buddha would say, everything is mind. When we learn to train our mind to let go of the unnecessary chatter, we free ourselves from suffering. And that, my friends, is the path to true happiness. For those of you who don't follow any specific belief system, that's totally cool. You can still tap into calming thoughts or phrases that work for you, like, I feel at harmony with myself, or I am content. It's all about strengthening those positive mental pathways so it gets easier to feel those good vibes more often. One great way to start is by regularly writing down things you're grateful for. It sounds simple, but this small habit can really train your brain to spot and appreciate the good in life, even when it's hiding in the little moments. And when those negative thoughts inevitably show up, try naming them. Seriously, just label them. Something like, oh, there's that old self-doubt creeping in again. It might sound funny, but by calling them out, you actually take away some of their power. They feel less heavy, less overwhelming. The goal here is to find that sweet spot between happiness and sadness where you've got this steady underlying sense of inner peace. Like, who says having a disease is automatically a bad thing? Sure, it's not going to spark joy right away, but sometimes an illness can push people towards a deeper understanding of themselves or motivate them to find healing in unexpected ways. So why are we so quick to slap a bad label on everything that doesn't feel good right away? This brings us back to one of Buddhism's core ideas. Everything is temporary, and the labels we put on experiences often trap us. Instead, try focusing on the present moment and cultivating inner peace. No matter what's happening around you, that's where true freedom lives. Another helpful practice? Setting aside time for reflection. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Whether you prefer writing things down or just thinking quietly, it's all good. This is your space, your time to reflect on where you've been and where you're heading. Having this kind of quiet me time is just as important as hanging out with others. It gives your mind a chance to reset so that when you're back in the present moment, you're more grounded, more focused, and better able to enjoy whatever's going on around you. Here's a cool example. I was walking along this trail once, and suddenly it started raining. Of course, I had to run for cover, but even in the middle of that scramble, I had this thought. Being present is a skill, and it takes practice. At first, it feels tough, even though it's supposed to be simple. But the more you practice mindfulness, the more you fire up those parts of the brain that help you stay present. Eventually, it becomes second nature, like, hey, rain or shine, I'm right here, right now. So yeah, being in the moment might feel tricky at first, but the more you practice, the easier it gets. And over time, that sense of inner peace you're after will start to show up more often, in ways you didn't expect. Keep at it, and you'll see. The big takeaway here is realizing that everything in life is deeply connected. So what's the deeper meaning behind all this? It's about shifting our attention from what can I get to how can I give, focusing on how we can serve and contribute to the world around us. This idea of community and service is incredibly powerful. It doesn't just help others, it helps us too. Even if you go into it with some self-interest, the benefits are real. Science even backs this up. Helping others can lower inflammation in the body, specifically reducing markers like interleukin-6, which is connected to a ton of diseases. Plus, it calms the amygdala, the part of our brain that triggers fear and anxiety. When we reduce stress and the whole fight or flight response, we naturally lower the release of stress hormones like noradrenaline, leaving us feeling more at peace and healthier overall. Now, let's talk about acceptance. Take something like illness, for example. The more someone resists their condition, the more stress they create for themselves. Stress hormones like cortisol and catecholamines flood the body, which over time can seriously mess with the immune system. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like what's happening, but when you stop fighting reality, the mind and body can actually start healing. And this ties into the importance of being present. When you're fully in the moment, both your mental and physical health improve. It's also an act of love and compassion toward yourself and others. And sure, this goes beyond the world of science, but that's the beauty of it. Science is amazing, no doubt, but we shouldn't get too attached to just that. There are deeper truths, ones that exist beyond logic or scientific evidence. Wisdom often comes from balancing both science and intuition, knowledge and lived experience. So, let's make a pact to practice presence together. I'm talking to myself as much as to you here. Let's grow as a community, lifting each other up on this journey. The goal? To be more focused, less distracted, and live a life that's mindful, present, and connected to everything around us. We're in this together, and the more we show up for each other and the world, the more peace we'll find in our own lives. As we wrap up, I hope this video has sparked some reflection on how everything is connected. Our thoughts, our actions, and our sense of well-being. Remember, by being present and practicing acceptance, we not only bring peace into our own lives, but also to those around us. And serving others? Well, that's a path to healing for both ourselves and the world. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If this resonated with you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who could benefit from it. Let's keep growing together, one mindful moment at a time.